Hello. All good over here. What about you?
Yeah, all good, all good. We're heading into December pretty damn soon,
I
and I
know.
can't get my head around it, if I'm honest.
Mm, I know. It's been a wild one. Are you looking forward to Christmas?
I don't know what there is to look forward to at this point. So if you're not in the UK, this is what like the situation is for us, that they've announced like our Christmas plan that three
Mm.
households can mix for Christmas time, which isn't many households.
No, the whole thing is a shambles. Like the whole thing, it just
I
let's
thought
let's
it'd be
be
funny.
honest.
There's like my parents have three children and none of them live at home. So what? They're meant to
That's
choose
four
their two.
households.
So
Yeah.
they're meant to choose their two favorites. Like, are you
I
serious?
don't think you're going to make the cut, Scarlett, because you don't have a newborn baby, and
Exactly.
they would choose those
I don't
babies
make the
over you.
cut. I mean, so yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. And also like, I'm sure anyone who is in the UK is sick to death of it all anyway.
Mm.
But as if people are going to follow the rules. Like
No
that's
one
just what
is.
gets me. Like people aren't following them at the moment as it is. Like granted, maybe
There's
like
too much flip
80%
flopping.
are, but like there's no way people aren't going to see family at Christmas time. Like, so I just kind of wish that they would just go,
Fuck it.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what else have you been doing other than thinking about Christmas?
I finished my knitted project of a cardigan.
Oh, good.
It just needs the buttons sewing on, so I'm really pleased with that. And I also can't believe like I've made stuff before, don't get me wrong. I made two jumpers when I was at uni, but it just feels like such a distant past. I'm like, oh my God, I've made this. But yeah, so that was thrilling that came to an end this week. Accomplished all my Christmas shopping.
Oh my God. I haven't, I've barely scratched the
Well, it's Black
surface.
Friday. Make the most of it.
Oh God. Yeah,
So yeah,
I should have.
and today's payday for me. So like, I was like, I literally
Oh,
bought
well then
everything. Yeah,
that's the real.
that's the real scoop. But yeah, so I'm trying to feel festive. We'll get there. We'll get there. How about you?
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
We've actually ordered a TV and it's supposed to be coming either like today or tomorrow, we reckon.
Wow.
So there was a little bit of rearranging the front room to
Nice.
because we had a TV stand, but it was filled with like arty stuff and like puzzles that we'd frame. Yeah, we frame puzzles, guys, in this household. So we had just ornaments and bits and bobs on it, and it had to be rehoused to make space for this new TV. We're not really sure how big it's gonna really be. TVs are a funny thing. It's about getting the right size, like from the distance,
Yeah.
from the sofa and all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And I'm gonna say I'm in a furnished flat, but we have a whopper of a TV
what size is it?
I couldn't even tell you. I feel like it's like the biggest TV you could get.
Because my about a year and a half ago or something, I remember going to my parents' house and they bought this massive TV. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a joke.
They ruin you for life though, because all other TVs look like an iPad in comparison.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, we were all joking, like, oh, why'd you buy such a big TV? Oh, fun and games. And then when we started thinking about buying a TV, I asked my mum, I was like, how big is your TV? And she's like, it's 65. And I was like, no, it's not. Because we've bought a 65. And now we're thinking it's going to be comical when it arrives.
Yeah.
Hit us up, please. One of you out there, can you tell me, like, send me a picture of your TV and the size. I mean, by the time this episode comes out, we will
be
have
too
had it
late.
already. But yeah, it's tough.
That's a good size telly though. Like, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
But you know, I am ruined for life, and our TV's a little bit on the brink, and we're terrified that if we tell our landlord, he won't replace it with the same size TV.
Oh,
and so we're like dealing with it, and we're just like terrified that we're gonna get like an iPad replacement, and so like we just aren't acknowledging it because we just want this, basically what feels like a cinema screen for our flat. But yeah, what is your fashion story this week, Mim?
Oh, so my fashion story, it's only a little one, but it's kind of cute. This is what I was saying before, that I sent you something over Instagram, and I sent it for you to like have a look at, and then I realized only like days after that I'd sent it to the wrong person. So Prada came out with this like really cute dog jacket.
Yeah, it's like a little doggy backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
And like I think the picture that I've seen it on is on like a dachshund.
Yes, yeah, I think you might have seen it.
Yeah, they've literally got it for like the smallest dog size, and I'm imagining there's like other sizes, or like,
yeah, or you just loosen the straps and it fits.
Hang on, I think someone's at my door.
Oh, okay, good.
My postwoman has like the boldest knock a lady has ever had, and
she's just trying to get things done.
It's terrifying. But I've got some Christmas lights, so
oh, nice.
I'm really excited.
That's something we need to actually, a tree and all those Christmas things. Anyway,
continue.
Also, I've learned from Mr. Big that it's a dachshund.
Yeah,
not a dachshund.
He's got the pronunciation, hasn't he?
Yeah. So so it is a dachshund. It's a little cute one. Yeah, that is something worth investing in. If you want to buy into luxury.
Well, and also then your dog can carry its own poo bags, treats.
That's true. Yeah, because Prada has those little like zip up.
Yeah, like it's nylon, like it'll be like washable or wipeable at the very least. Yeah. I think this is something you'll see on dogs all around Chelsea.
Very early 2000s with pet accessories.
Yeah.
Very
for
sure. Louis Vuitton dog baskets. Yeah. What's your fashion story?
So my fashion story's actually just changed because I've just had an alert ping up on my phone.
Oh, okay.
A BBC News alert. And for once, it's not about COVID, so hallelujah. And it is announcing basically that Arcadia is on the brink of collapse, and just saying how, like, they think another additional 13,000 jobs will be at risk because of how badly Arcadia is doing.
Well, they've had issues for a while, a couple years now. And
for the last year, Topshop has had a sale on some form of a product, whether it's shoes, whether it's everything, whether it's coats, whether it's dresses, whether it's blouses, every week. Every week.
They've really taken on this Boohoo model. Us shitting on Boohoo again.
Boohoo.com.
But they did take on this very Boohoo pretty little thing model, where it's like every week is a sale, a clearance, a discount code.
But it's because they have to.
Yeah, they've been having a tough time for a while, and then Sir Philip Green had like been getting a lot of backlash in the past.
He's disgusting.
Yeah. But it's funny how, I don't know, there's probably like an explanation to it, but a brand, Topshop, international brand that everyone buys stuff from. Everyone has something from Topshop. My mum has stuff from Topshop. Everyone.
Everyone's got like a pair of jeans probably from Topshop, or like it's a very much like, especially for me, I'm kind of growing out of it, or like definitely notice at times like there'll be trends where I'm like, oh, I don't want every piece of my clothing to be cropped. And stuff like that. But like every now and then they'll still have stuff which is like, I feel like is really relevant to my style. Yeah. It's like somewhat affordable. Like some things are quite pricey for what they are.
But if you wait for a sale, it's all good.
And like it's kind of that go-to of if you wanted a new item. Like for me, I do the rounds of like the likes of a Zara,
ASOS,
a Topshop, ASOS. Loving Mango at the moment. It's a bit hit and miss for me, but like
I've got a mango secret for you that I've been using for years, but I don't know if I should tell you on the podcast or if I should, because I don't want it to like ruin it.
You can edit it out. We interrupt this broadcast to remind you, go follow us on Instagram, Style Over Substance Pod. Shoot us an email, styleoversubstancepeak@gmail.com. Find us on YouTube, find us on Twitter. We've got all the links on our Instagram. You know what to do.
So that is my secret, my mango secret. This is the part where we re-enter into the regular conversation.
Mim, stop editing.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just kind of sad, like that. I know the high street's not having a great moment, but I just think it's really sad that it's just in a really bad way.
Well, the high street's been suffering for years now. Really, it's been on the decline. But sorry, what I was going to say is that everyone has something from Topshop or Miss Selfridge or the other brands that they own. And it just surprises me that a company this big that employs this many people, that is still so popular and it's still, you know, like they've got something for everyone. How can it go under? Like, what is going on?
Like, I'm not being funny. How are like the likes of other stores? How are the likes of like, I can't even think, like, I know Dorothy Perkins is under the same umbrella, so like that's a bad example. But like even Warehouse, like don't get me wrong, I actually really like Warehouse.
I love Warehouse.
But like it's not really one of my go-tos. The main reason I discover stuff from them now is because of ASOS. Like, or how is the like of a New Look still kind of going? Like
what is new? And like Accessorize.
Yeah.
It's still about
soon. Yeah. Like it always seems to be Arcadia, and like you said, like actually Arcadia's got some pretty successful like stuff under its belt. Like Topshop is surely the most popular retail.
Yeah, it's the crown in there. It's the jewel in their crown, I should say.
Yeah.
Not the crown in their
jewel. But yeah, so that like that's crazy, and also like as if we need more people losing jobs right now. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, but that really does also, this could be a different topic for a different time. Topshop's been having a lot of problems for a long time. So this was inevitable. There's only so long you can kind of hold off a bankruptcy. But I do feel like all this COVID stuff with stores being closed and whatever, I think there's a lot of companies out there who are just offloading people that they really don't need to be like making.
Yeah. I really do think, and like it's not a jolly thought, but like when furlough does finally come to an end, the amount of people who I think will be streamlining their company will be like, it will be insane.
Yeah, I agree. So do you want to introduce our topic for today?
Sure. So like we said, we're sort of this series, or this decade of this 10 of episodes, we're browsing brands basically, and the brand that we want to talk about today is, I'm going to title this brand, or give it the little name of like the lost luxury brand, and that is Lanvin. I think that's how you say it. It's not Lanvin, or like I think that's how you say it.
It's Lanvin, I think.
But yeah, so we're talking all things Lanvin, and basically gonna give you like a brief history of the brand, and then kind of talk about why it's kind of not on like the hit list, like why it's not sort of thought of in a similar way as Chanel, Dior, Louis V. So yeah, would you like to start?
Okay, yeah, I'll just start a little bit, but I'm sure you have like a lot of the same kind of start off points, is that there are many people who don't know the brand, I think, but there equally are a lot of people who do know the brand and know it to be a very famous Parisian house. It's actually, they've said on their website, and it's kind of been noted around as well, that a fashion house in like the most modern sense, where you have like ready to wear, footwear, kids, homeware, things like that, Lanvin was like the first to do it. And it was started by a woman. She was a milliner, Jeanne. I can't say her name. I'm sorry. In 1889, when she was only 22 in Paris. So she was super young, super keen. She was a milliner, and she started her own hat shop essentially. And
sorry, do you mean Jean? Like Jean?
No, well, it's spelled Geanne.
Yeah, I think it's just Jean or Jean.
Oh, like okay, like Jean-Claude, but like
yeah.
like the feminine version. Okay, I'm sorry. You know what? There's some names
I could
that
be
really
wrong.
throw me off.
I could be wrong. Like, don't get me wrong.
There are some names. Okay, apologies. So in 1987, she gave birth to her daughter, and Lanvin's symbol is the mother and the child, and it's like this little illustration as their logo, and that's essentially what it represents. And her daughter was said to have become her like muse, and she started designing clothes for her daughter, like the best fabrics, the best designs, and the other kids and their mothers kind of took note, and other mums wanted to buy into what she was making for her own daughter. And that's when you really see the beginning of her branching out into different departments, and really made a big name for Lanvin. And this is the end of the 1800s we're talking about. So this was before, like, where we know Dior as being really coming up post Second World War into this new era of fashion.
Yeah,
Lanvin was establishing fashion houses as a woman way before, and that's really interesting. I think it really puts into perspective, many of us don't know about this brand, although they are like reinventing themselves now and only like beginning to. It's amazing that they were like the first to do it in high society Parisian culture, and now other brands have completely taken its place. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's got so much heritage, and like the same heritage to rival all the top brands that we all know and love. And it's kind of, it's sad to me that somewhere along the way that's been somewhat lost, and obviously we'll kind of delve into our own theories of why that might be. But yeah, it was born in just like the most sort of naturally organic, like very female-led brand, which is actually quite unusual as well for that time. Like, I know Coco did it, but like
she had financial backing.
But she's also kind of labeled as like a pioneer, as being like this female frontier. And I know that was more because she redefined women's clothing. She gave women trousers and things like that. But where's the girl power for Jean, whatever her name is, Jean-Claude Lanvin? Like, where is like that kind of praise for her being a woman that started a brand that still exists today?
It's like the oldest continuing fashion house.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of find that like the history's somehow been lost a little bit along the way. And yeah, actually before we were looking into this episode, I had no idea that it was founded by a female.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really know either, but I only knew Lanvin from, and I think maybe like how other people know, is one of their creative directors who had been around for a while. And I think it was a while ago, there might have been a collab with H&M or something like that.
Yeah, they did. They had a collab with H&M in 2010.
Ah, there you go. And I think that was my first introduction into the brand.
Yeah. So like I was going to go on to say sort of, but you've brought it up now, so why not now?
I feel like as well, it kind of like, I guess I feel like a detective because they have done so many of the things that like all brands strive to do to become more known amongst the masses and recognized. They did the H&M collection. I don't know when H&M collection started, but it's got to be one of like the earlier collections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were very forward thinking in that, like all of that stuff. And I just still feel like it's just somehow it's not on like the lips of everybody. Like, I don't think we've referenced Lanvin in this entire podcast so far.
No, we haven't.
Like real off brands. We never
never.
There's just like, I don't know, there's just got to be a really weird reason for that.
Well, I think also because a lot of what media is driven by, and subsequently our podcast and what we talk about and what our fashion stories consist of, is around what's hype at the moment, what's new at the moment, what's getting all the attention on social media. But there's more to fashion than that. There are brands that have been around for a really long... I mean, we've spoken about Bottega Veneta. It was like, it's not the oldest brand out there, but it was like a moving quietly, you know, going along, doing its thing, releasing pieces that its customer base were really enjoying. And only up until recently has it been on the lips of fashion columnists and influencers and things like that. So these things like swings and roundabouts, really, they come and they go and they become popular, and then sometimes they just move to the background.
Yeah.
So this brand, as you've like said, it was a pioneer in lots of ways. Like their store, there's a picture that I hope I've saved because I'll want to send it to you, but it was this Lanvin store and it was like massive. And then just in front of the store was this like little Hermes store. And it was just like putting into perspective, like at the time, Lanvin was like top dog. It seems like it had this really big store, and Hermes like had this like little like nice but smaller one.
They had a kiosk.
Of it. Yeah, basically. This designer, you know, was the first to introduce made to measure clothing lines for men. Obviously, men have always been able to get like suits made and stuff, but in terms of like suits, ties, pajamas, sportswear, and you could get stuff for your kids as well. And obviously women could come into the store and do the same. And they offered like women the chance to like, they would store your furs in their store for the summer, and you could just like come and like bring it out during the winter when you needed to use it. So yeah, like it has this long history, and it's like, can it revive itself now to a really wildly popular, successful brand that's like the hot ticket now? Well, they have recently, in the past couple of years, I think it's 2018, they've brought on a new creative director called Bruno Lely. And he came over from the Wave. And I think, from my perspective, you can really see the parallels that these new collections draw from other successful brands like the Wave.
Yeah, and so whilst we're on the topic of sort of designers and creative directors, I'm gonna like put my finger on like, so also I think it's important to note that Lanvin has a majority stakeholder who is a Chinese stakeholder. And I've seen quite a few articles where there's almost like this allegation that this stakeholder does not invest enough in the company. And this was about 3 years ago. Lanvin was still, again, like it's just not hyped. It's not hugely popular, and the figures were like not looking great. And like, I guess this person just hasn't like become a stakeholder as a passion project, and they're really trying to work on this person investing in the brand so that they can kind of make Lanvin what it used to be and kind of generate it. But there's been so much change in designers So from in the last like 4 years,
yeah,
they've had 3 different women's wear collection designers.
yeah.
And like that's a recipe for tragedy. Like if I ever saw one that like you can't achieve much in a year. Like how can you, like, you probably haven't even seen like the sale through of that collection by the time that person's out the door. And maybe Lanvin's not a great work environment. I don't know if it's that.
Well, that's the thing, because
but 4 designers in 4 years.
So they had a corrective designer. The most famous one from like my perspective is Albert Elbaz. And he was there for 14 years.
He oversaw everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was there for a long time, and he was like the kind of like the face of it. And he kind of left the brand in like an acrimonious kind of toxic way. It wasn't the most like cordial situation. So I think after that drama, and there were like claims that, you know, they had poor quality and things like that. After that drama, I think maybe it was hard to find who's the best person to take over this brand as well as Elbaz has, or has a sense of direction as much as he did.
Well, so since Elbaz, they haven't had, so he did it all. So he did men's, women's, but since then, there's separate people doing men's and there's separate people doing women's. And I think that's not always easy. I think especially when you're that kind of a brand, you need an overarching person. You need an overarching touch. Like you need it all to be aligned.
It's like the vision. It's like we were talking about Gucci.
Yeah.
Like as eclectic and all over the place as it is.
Yeah.
You know it's Gucci.
Yeah.
They're coming out with stuff that no one else is going to do.
But yeah, so it basically is like the chopping and change has started ever since Alba left. And I wonder if that's because he left this kind of legacy that people can't live up to, or maybe has like made things so difficult for someone to come in and put their own touch. But yeah, I think there's something that kind of, hopefully Bruno, I'm not even going to attempt his surname, hopefully like he'll be there for at least like 2 or 3 years. I think you need a few years to get your foot in the door and like give yourself a good go. So hopefully, and he's doing both men and women's, so that's the first time that's happened since Alba left. So hopefully that'll actually be really good for Lanvin. And also like Bruno's got he's also got Balenciaga under his belt as well as Loewe. So like those are big brands. That's like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. I think like Loewe as well, I think is really having a moment. It's got a really cool artisanal kind of like direction. Like I was talking, they have those candles and they're like in these kind of like pottery jars, and their store is very much like this museum for artisanal artwork, but also like this store that's not just about clothes. They've got a really cool aesthetic there, and I think that if he's coming from like J.W. Anderson's world, that he could probably replicate something like that at Lanvin, because I think there's so much potential. Have you seen the recent shows like Spring Summer 21?
I definitely have seen it, but it didn't like last, if that makes sense. But I think that's kind of a key thing is when we spoke about Bottega, you instantly think of products. Well, like or we did, and instantly think, and you can either see the weaving or you think of that clutch or the pouch they call it. You see those shoes with the squared off toes, like you see things when you think of Bottega. What do you think of when you think of Lanvin?
I think it's too early to tell. Like I follow them online, so I see the stuff, and I've seen stuff that I like, but in general, yeah, I completely agree with you. But we could argue that it's because like Bottega's gifting stuff right, left, and center.
True. Yeah.
And we're seeing product in the atmosphere out there being worn with other stuff and being pushed from left, right, and center from all these influencers that we follow. And I think in this day and age, if you're not following that format and you're a big fashion house, I'm not talking about like smaller brands, but if you're a big fashion house and there's a lot of money behind you, that is the course of action. Because like if you look at Maria Grazia's Dior, nothing to write home about. Let's face it, pretty stuff, but nothing to write home about. But it's
plastered
everywhere.
all over Instagram,
and it's selling. And I heard a while back that
it's become the new Chinese craze.
Yeah, I heard that it's the first time in a long time that ready to wear for a brand like that is selling, and people are buying into the clothes, not just the accessories, which is such a big deal. So yeah, I think it would need Lanvin to be doing a lot of gifting and a lot of that sort of,
which also just requires a crazy marketing budget, which you potentially can't justify when your figures aren't high. But the only way to get your figures high is arguably to make that push.
It's like you have to spend money to make money sort of rule.
Yeah, because when I was trying to research, like, what is the Lanvin, like, it product? What is their most sold? Like, I couldn't really find anything. And all that kept popping up was perfume. And I was like, it's not really even what we talk about. So, I do think it's because of the culture that we have, that if we don't see it on Instagram, we don't think it's relevant that our like, favourite influencers aren't, like, wearing it or talking about it. And then I kind of then looked into, okay, so is it like a big thing in the celebrity sphere? Like, how does it do on red carpets? And I can't say it's all that present there. So we'll definitely post these pictures on Instagram. But like Emma Stone has championed Lanvin for quite a few years. Like, she's got the most, I could see, red carpet looks, and famous like Kim wore, I think, it to maybe like her first Met.
Okay.
But in recent years, it's not plastered everywhere either. So like, I feel like they need to choose, one or the other maybe. Are they going to follow influencers, or are they going to be that celeb loved, celeb endorsed?
I think celeb endorsed is so passe.
Well, and also actually, like, you don't get money. Like, you gift things to celebs, and like, very rarely do I see a celebrity wearing something and go, oh, I want that now.
Yeah, exactly. I think also because traditionally celebs used to have, not all of them, of course there would be random celebs who have to go to an event and they would get gifted an outfit and whatnot. But there's celebrities who would have like long-standing contracts with some of the brands. They would be like the face of the ambassador. Whereas now it's kind of like with influencers, brands can like working with someone one day and then the next they're like, return on investment's not worth it. I'm going to move on to someone else who can draw in those sales and those numbers and stuff. And it's one thing that influencers do better than celebrities is they're able to showcase like the cheaper bits within a lifestyle, like an ordinary lifestyle, to like more than like, how many of us are going on the red carpet? None of us. And that's really the time that we see celebrities wear these things. But if you can see someone at home or walking their dog wearing Lanvin shoes, and you see that often enough, it becomes more on your radar, and those brands kind of step out of the darkness and become like viable brands that you want to buy into. Yeah. You know?
And I was saying this sort of example of the way our minds work to my flatmate yesterday, that like we're almost being trained to want what these influencers have, especially if you've followed like some of like the people from early days, or like the original sort of YouTubers, like the kind of the Zoe Suggs and the Tanya Burrs, that like genuinely Like Zoe Sugg would go to Boots with her like regular income and tell you what she thought was worth her money. And then like obviously it's grown and now she's got like a big pot of cash that like, even though our worlds aren't comparable anymore, you're still trained to want that recommendation from that person. And so I feel like,
I think, yeah, because they do position, as you said, they do position themselves as an authority on makeup, on how to style themselves, when, to be honest, there's loads of people out there who have like the most basic style.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, it's jeans and a jumper for winter, you know.
Yeah.
Revolutionary.
And the only reason it looks like really nice is because you've got like a cracking figure, or like,
or it's just been like ironed,
really nice haircut or something. Like,
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
normally the outfit that makes it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of like their collections and their shows, I really like their stuff, if I'm honest. It's very much like the most recent collection, spring summer 21, is like has those dropped waists, very 1920s reminiscent. There's capes, there's a lot of tailored coats and like matching like leather, or not matching but like accompanying leather gloves, which I think is always such a cool look. A bit of tiki and inspired Hawaiian prints, which I thought was also really nice as well. And they're coming up with recently they had a resort collection. So I do think that Bruno is coming with a style that not many of the like other big brands are doing. Well, maybe Gucci, but yeah, I think that the stuff does look amazing and it looks good and it's got so much potential, and it's just about consistently putting on great shows and, you know, marketing heavily. And you also mentioned about what are those pieces that come to mind that we would easily want to buy into. And I went on the website and I was just browsing. There is one bag which I've seen on Instagram and I went hunting for it. And I just thought, you know, why not? They've got this pencil cat bag and it's literally like nothing we've seen out at the moment. And it was, I think it's like an old style that's been brought back, and it's this rectangular box shape with the Lanvin logo as like the clasp, and the handle is this solid like brass panther or cat with its back arched, and that's like the top handle of it. It's amazing. And then they've got another one which is like a doe animal, and then they've got some quirky bags as well, and they've called it the Happy Box bag, which is basically the Happy Meal. You know how the Happy Meal boxes fold in at the sides, and so you can like pick it up. They've got that in leather as one of their handbags, and then they've got these really cute, what I think could be quite collectible, I think they're called minaudières, those little kind of box bags that Chanel does a lot of, and they sell for like tens of thousands of pounds. So I think they've got a lot of like vintage looking 1920s inspired Parisian pieces that maybe we're just not, as you said, we're not trained to like at the moment.
I think their latest show is possibly one of their best for a long time, the 2021, and like those shapes and stuff like that you said. It's really, there's some really feminine pieces, but then there's also like some sassy sort of like exciting stuff, and really unique silhouettes and stuff like that. And I can like only imagine that they've carried that through with their accessories and all of that stuff. So yeah, I like you said, it's probably a case of consistency and just being like, just being consistently like, that show was cool. But the problem is that I don't normally go and even click on their show to look at what they do.
I think it's an interesting discussion, like why are some brands more popular? Because Chanel is really old and it could easily be seen as an old ladies brand. I mean, their suits that they're known for is not, I mean, they can be seen as like prissy and very girly, but it's an imitation of something your grandmother would have worn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not, it has no seeming place in a world filled with sportswear and like athleisure and like hype beast culture, but it still does really well. And it doesn't matter what.
One day I will have a Chanel suit.
Yeah, of course. But that
it won't be like my style whatsoever either. Like you said, like it somehow managed to find its place, even though it's literally not relevant.
Yeah.
Like one bit.
I will say one thing. When I was hunting for bags on their website, they've got one, and I can't remember what its name is. I didn't note it down, but it's a really nice bag, and I think it's a dupe, dare I say it. I don't know what the quality is like, but I think it's a pretty good dupe for like a Birkin. Just the shape, just the shape of it. Let me see if I can find the name of it now, because I feel like the shape of it, the overall sense,
which is actually a very new, like Chanel's never done that kind of a lady like shape. I'm checking it out right now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's called the Grained Leather Boogie Bag. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Keep searching. But it doesn't have the flap that comes over the top of the bag like a Birkin does. But it has the strap that kind of runs through the side of the bag and the padlock at the front and the overall square rectangular shape. And I mean, if you want the small, it's only £1,500. And if you want the large, let me see, I think it's about $3,000 for the large. Mate, you don't need to spend 10 grand and a wait list. No, the medium is £2,000.
Where is this bag?
Okay, hold on. Let me. I'll send you a link. But it's funny how if you shop around and look outside of like the typical, you can find like you don't have to go for what is like the most hype product out there. I've sent it to you on chat on Zoom.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you said Chanel had it.
No, Lanvin. Sorry.
Okay, I misunderstood. Oh, yeah. It's basically a hybrid of the Saint Laurent City bag and a Birkin.
Oh, I love that one.
Like that's literally the two bags combined.
Yeah. So like what other reasons do you feel like other than infighting and like company drama, what can lead a brand, a really luxurious, particularly Parisian brand, to kind of fall in the shadows?
I wish I was somewhat older to know, like, maybe its reputation in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? Or kind of remember what maybe even the reputation was in the noughties to kind of know if it's had this kind of small or slow fall from grace or if it's always been like this. And, like, I don't even think kind of retail figures can tell us that. I think it's more like if my mom wanted to get like a really special handbag or she was coveting something, would Lanvin like be on the list? Like I'd be really interested to know. If it's kind of just always been that kind of, maybe it's got almost like a cult following and there are people who really like that it's less well known.
Like in a Bottega sense.
Yeah, that like Bottega didn't really have, it wasn't on our lips until a few years ago. So maybe Lanvin's just got this trusted sort of maybe less celebrity, like maybe less well-known people. Maybe it's just the wealth elite that do Lanvin.
I think that to some extent, but I think they've probably gone through more financial trouble than Bottega
for sure.
As kind of an indicator of how things are, it's people still sell their stuff in Vestiaire Collective, and that's not to say like oh, that shows that that brand is like, some of this stuff is up for a decent price. Like, people are selling their H&M Lanvin for H&M shoes for like £70, and their scarves, and they're still fetching a decent price in the resale market. So yeah, it's definitely a brand that you have to go looking for, and like to appreciate, to like go and buy from and continue to buy from. Yeah.
And what do you think has kind of contributed to it being less well known?
I think 100% the fact that the creative directors in the past 5 years, let's say, there's just been so many of them. I think that creative directors, in a weird way, are the figurehead of these big brands. They are the celebrity within their own company, you know. And you look at Olivier Rousteing at Balmain, and when Balmain had a kind of a revival and a resurgence like 10 years ago, or, you know, about that time, where we had all this heavily embroidered beading and dresses and that kind of rope effect, and he was bringing all this fresh new looks for Balmain. He was the celebrity, you know. He was just as good looking as all the models. He was so striking. He was like exotic with his French accent, and he was a celebrity essentially. And he would personally hang out with like the Kardashians. Yeah. You know, and this is at a point where Kim was coming out as a fashionista, like actually getting more and more chances to work in traditional fashion mediums for respected fashion brands. And Olivier was a celeb, literally. And I think that's what helped him push the brand forward. His designs were really nice anyway. He's a great designer. But if you don't have that person like Albert Elbaz at Lanvin, who was there for years and people knew the brand through him, sort of thing, if you don't have that sort of person, then your brand just gets a bit lost. I mean, all of these top designer brands, you see a picture of the creative director and you instantly know what brand that is. If you can't remember their name, you at least know who these people are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's a really easy way to identify how they can improve is with just some consistency. And you don't have to have the most famous creative director, but like it definitely helps to know that they've got some sort of like heritage, or, you know, some brands behind them, and kind of kudos.
Yeah. So watch the space for their next show.
We're rooting for you, Lama. We're rooting for you.
Yeah, I think there's definitely more to come from them. And maybe it will, in the next few years, as people's opinion of Chanel, for example, you talk a lot about the quality of their stuff. As our opinions for certain brands diminish, others might rise and fill into that space. Like, again, we had Celine, and then their creative director left, and now filling that space, we have Bottega. And so that could very well happen for Lanvin. Like, I don't know, as other brands are no longer as popular, like Gucci, for example. Maybe Lanvin fills in that kind of vintage aesthetic.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that there'll again be a point where we're oversaturated with logo. And Lanvin's not a logo heavy brand, which also probably has factored into like its lack of kind of notoriety over the last few years.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
But like for sure, in a few years, logos will again just kind of be like not the hype, and it won't be the big thing, and we won't all be wearing or seeing Christian Dior belts, Christian Dior, like everything plastered on clothing and stuff like that. Like that will diminish, because that is just how the world works. That's how trends, it ebbs and flows. and there'll probably be a revival of like ladylike, you know, like of course we all love dressing super casual, but I also wonder if we've had like, if COVID has almost helped that we'll kind of a little bit be over our joggers, like we'll actually crave that moment where we can look really dressed up, and maybe long gone is dressing up jeans and a nice t-shirt, or sorry, a nice top like a blouse. Maybe it will be like a dress or a whole thing, and maybe like Lanvin will be on the rise with that revival. You heard it here first, guys. You heard it.
Always making predictions, Scarlett. Oh. I hope no one holds them to us.
No, neither.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think I've had my final thoughts on Lanvin.